All right, I am here and I'm going to be continuing Screwdrivers. I have been coming back to this game every couple of days, and I do anticipate coming back to this game consistently well into the future because I highly recommend this game. It is free to play on Steam. There is a supporter pack for $4.99, which I do recommend getting. I do recommend supporting the developers of this game. I think that they've created something fantastic for free. And I'm honestly surprised that this game isn't like $10, $15, if I'm being completely honest. Last time I streamed, we worked on the alternating propeller whiplash. I called it the whiplash because of the camera in the game, which changes depending on your velocity. And because we created something that accelerates so fast, it gives us the effect that we're getting whiplash. My idea for this stream is going to be, we're going to take this idea because it's beautiful, and we are going to convert it into an aircraft. Now, if that's going to be possible or how we're going to go about doing that, I don't know. I honestly, we're going to need to take the Dragonfly, which is the first aircraft that we created, and we're going to need to convert it into an alternating propeller design. And what I mean by alternating propeller is, you can see if I go really slow, every time these rotate 360 degrees, they occupy the same space at a different time. At any given time, they're occupying a same location, while the other one is in the complete opposite position, right? While this one is, the left one is 90 degrees vertical, the right one is horizontal. And this is something that I really, really like. Now, someone did comment, if you go reverse fast enough, you actually start taking off. And that got me interested in the idea of converting this design into an aircraft. Because as far as I can tell, this should convert very well into an aircraft. And this is clean. Like, you'll never get these blades colliding. Yeah. The high speed turn rate, the braking, like, none of this you can get with a conventional vehicle. You just can't. And I do continue to use the word conventional and unconventional, because in the game, the developers called this part, and this is very, very like programmatic as to why I use the term unconventional. This is called the downforce wing. And it says in the description, this small downforce wing can be used to press your vehicle to the ground. Nowhere does it mention using this to create aircraft. That is why I say unconventional. So my idea is, I want to take this propeller setup. This vehicle is beautiful. I'm not going to touch anything with it. Maybe it could use a little bit more downforce on the front and back wheels, because it kind of floats a little bit. But as far as the performance of this goes, it's like well beyond anything conventional. I don't care to push it any further. But as far as this design goes, I want to adapt this into our Dragonfly from a while back. Now, here's the thing with the Dragonfly. You can immediately tell I'm using gears here and gears here. And what I'm thinking about is if I can create an alternating propeller setup that involves bringing these two closer together, like shifting this inside here, then we could get a more compact powertrain. And I don't think, as far as an airplane goes versus a quadcopter, I don't think... Oh, yes, I made this space bar, and yeah. Why is it... There we go. We have the keys set to keyboard. I don't think we're going to run into any stability issues if we modify this. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on a Mayfly Mark II. Because as far as this aircraft goes, this is very clean and stable. As for being able to remap WASD, and Q and E to my controller, there's no way to do that. So this is probably going to be... We were able to get it with the quadcopter, but I don't know how we would translate... How would we translate this to be... If I do right trigger... Yeah, I'm pressing X to configure. Oh, okay, there we go. Now, left trigger. This is why I don't program keys with my controller. Because I have to like switch back to the keyboard. I don't know, can I? No, if I make this A and D, oh, I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna work on the controller. No, we need to... So we had both of them in the same direction, right? So we need this to be S and W, yeah. The weird thing is when you're on keyboard... Okay, there we go. Right, it's right analog. There. How do I roll though? Okay, left analog to roll. But we have these backwards. See, what I kind of mean is, like, when it comes to the key binding, I know I can use my controller, but the keyboard is strictly mapped to certain controller buttons. And that is something that the developers need to consider working on. More robust key mapping, customizability, for sure. But yes, now I can use my... So yes, I can get my controller to work with this by remapping that. A little bit strange, but... Because we use the keyboard to remap our controller. So yeah, for future reference, we're rotating with A and D on the keyboard, which is left analog stick on our controller. And then we are accelerating with W and S. But the crazy thing is, that turns into right trigger and left trigger on my controller. The crazy thing is, if I press W, weird. It doesn't push our nose down. Like, I'm pressing W, but it doesn't. Interesting. Regardless, we figured it out. It's fine. It works. This control scheme works the way we want it to. Now, as for narrowing this down, that we're going to need to do two things. I'm going to need to have these fan blades be perpendicular. I don't think there's any way to get these in a state in which we can have them at a 45-degree angle, right? Because if I could have this one come out like this, then we could have this one like a cross, perpendicular. This one at a 45-degree tilt, and then you could have them almost rotate around each other like a gear. Like the teeth of a gear. But I think we're just going to go with dual wing propellers similar to this design. I think, so the easiest thing to do is going to be to duplicate the Dragonfly. Rename. And probably start building around. So we did this one differently. We did use a gear here to get around the hinge connector bug. Because if you don't use a gear, it messes the whole thing up. Like the hinge connector doesn't rotate. And I think I can simplify this down significantly. Now, I want to keep the height of the vehicle. But I'm going to get rid of the entire right side of it so that I can begin rebuilding it in a more condensed manner. With the same general concept, just using what we've learned and what we know about the workaround to the hinge connector, which is a limiter in terms of design. So this is going to need to be a 3. And we did learn that we can actually get the connector double to rotate around the axis. In this setup, we have it with a beam. We have it with a beam so that we can extend these two patterns of wings outward like that. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this idea and translate it vertically. Now, there is a way to flip the vehicle, right, horizontally. But there's no way to flip the vehicle vertically. I don't believe. So keeping that design in mind, I think I'll go with a similar style. And of course, we need the hinge connector. And this thing, in theory, should be much more powerful. The problem is we're going to need to figure out, well, no, it's not a problem. When it comes to rotating this weight, we can just rotate the weight directly with a motor. But as far as symmetry goes, we're going to need the motor. We're going to need to be something like this, right? With the hinge connector, with the weights right here, something like that. But even then, I don't think we can do that because we're going to need the left engine to be pretty much right here. Which is definitely interesting. Yeah, and then we use the triple, so double, triple, double, triple. Similar translation. Triple, triple. This is going to need to go that. And this pattern can be repeated. Oh, interesting. Well, we could do, yeah, but getting a, oh, but hold on. Might look a little bit jankier, but I might actually be able to get it to be more narrow. If we do... No. Again, we can't. We can't do that. Because we need it to be like this. Yes. Yeah, we can't have them flat, right? There we go. So that's the general idea. And then as far as translating that goes, I think the weight here is actually okay. This being the center point, right? This is the center point right here. The middle of this horizontal downforce swing. So that, we need this to be the center. This line right here needs to be the center. And the great thing about this design is that we don't need the center to run through between the fan blades, because we can just run the center, we can just run the pieces through here just fine. So as far as having this go any further, we don't need that anymore. Right? So all of these gears, the only problem is this is going to be sticking up. And we're going to need to figure out a way to connect this thing. That's the only problem that I can foresee. Now, here's the interesting thing as well. If this is a 3, is that all we need? I think that's all we need. Yeah. Yeah, that takes up a lot of room. I think that's all we're gonna need. If we just do something like... Definitely janky, but that'll hold that in place. And then this entire left side is now out of alignment. And we don't have to worry about all of those like weird connections and making sure that the beams are connected. It's going to be much tighter. And ideally more straightforward. The great thing is that weight in the center is pretty much exactly what we need. I really am so happy that there's a workaround that is actually not just a compromise, but a benefit in some ways. Because when it comes to building in this game, I have taken an extreme liking towards propeller-powered vehicles due to my fascination with not playing games the way they're meant to be played. And I love it when developers embrace that. Okay, these are going to be running into one another, so these need to be flipped. The developers have fully embraced people making propeller-powered vehicles in this game. And honestly, it's just like, it's just the icing on the cake for such an awesome... These are all going to be backwards, right? Because if we're rotating, yeah, if we want to go this upwards, then we need these to be completely flipped. Yeah. It does make me happy when I see an early access game that is a product of hard work. That no doubt has bugs. Like I got like 80 hours in Kerbal Space Program 2 before I just called it quits. Like figuring out, learning about the Kraken drive in Kerbal Space Program 2 was a very good time. And that has become, I mean, at this point, Kerbal Space Program 2 is done, as far as I can tell. But it has been venerated. Documented and venerated. As personally one of the most beautiful bugs in a game that I've personally experienced. I do have many videos, many hours of live streams detailing that experience. I even have a video in Kerbal Space Program of me visiting every single planet in the Kerbal system. In the Kerbal system. With a single stage. And it ended up taking something like 20 years. Even with like an insanely high-powered, broken, buggy vehicle, it still took 20 years to get to every planet. Definitely could have optimized it. But to get to every single planet in a single vessel is not an easy time. I think we translated these. Probably have them sticking outward. I might do something really basic like that and just completely get rid of all this. And we can extend this rear wing out. We can extend that out horizontally and vertically if we have a lack of power. My question is, why is this a 3 instead of a 2? This can just simply be a 2 into the hinge connector into the weight 90 kilogram. So one of these is going to have to be reversed. One of them. We don't know which one yet. But as far as I can tell, let's color it so it looks a little better. I love how this design ends up being like a mirror. It's a mirror that's rotated 90 degrees. So you take the exact same thing on either side. You rotate it 90 degrees. And you mirror it. We can make the top one like gold or something. There, we'll make that one clear. All right, now we may have a chance to get this thing to fly. It also may completely disappear the second I press escape. We'll find out. I'm gonna upload this to the workshop just because there is a game-breaking bug in this early access game where I've had it happen on 2 very distinct occasions where I spent a certain amount of time working on something, pressed escape, and then gone. Just gone. Okay, these need to be interesting. So why would it be rotating? Okay, that works. Hold on. Let me get a clear look at it. Okay, they're rotating in the same direction, although we have them in the opposite direction. This one is W and S, and then this one is S and W. So I'll just make this W and S. They need a red and green side on the electric. Okay, now they are perfectly reversed. So we just need both of them to be perfectly opposite. Then we should have liftoff. And we do. Nice. Okay, the rotation is backwards. Ooh, interesting handling. I need to flip the rotation to D and A. This one looks like a flying fish. I should call it the flying fish. We're gonna change the tail though a little bit. Oh, that's clean. Now, if we want more maneuverability, and we're cruising at 350 right now. This thing is cruising. Camera is bugging out. I can't do anything about that, unfortunately. One of the major complaints of people who have experienced this game for the first time, one of the major complaints is the camera. And I hope, I'm not sure, but I hope that the developers are working on giving us more camera options. Thing is pretty clean. I didn't expect it to be this clean. Now, our maneuverability is limited. And we're getting a slight rotation to the right. I don't know why that would be happening. We can easily correct it with our gyroscope. It's very powerful. Like, I can crank a turn all the way while maintaining altitude. It's very, very powerful. Almost lost it there. So let me try. Ooh, that's very stable in the air as well. Look at that. Look at that. Look how stable that is. It just hangs out. That's crazy. That's because of the fins in the back. Now this is already a 9, and I don't like the idea of adding more pieces. We can trim these down to being a 2. I think this is a Dragonfly Mark II. I think this is looking like a Dragonfly Mark II. I don't think I'll go with the flying fish. Now, as far as the tail goes, I really want something like this, the branch inclined corner mixed with the branch 45. So like this has 3 holes here, like this has 3 holes here. But I wonder if we can use something like a panel inclined 5. Let's see. No, that's gonna look very odd. I think we need to do the branch 45. if we want to flatten them out, it's going to come in the form of, well, I do this and this. See how that feels. But I don't think it's gonna. Whoa, wait, hold on. If I do this, and this, there we go. I don't think that these are gonna clip. We do get the 91 because of the other blades, but that should be clear now. I think we're going to get better maneuverability the more shark fins we have. Yeah, that's even worse maneuverability. Yeah, that's even worse. I'm pulling up as hard as I can now. It's pretty stable. Still rotating to the right slightly. I think that's just because of the torque of the engines, if I'm being honest. The way the game handles the raw torque is strange. Which is why we only put one planetary gear. If we were to put 3 planetary gears on this thing, I guarantee you it would rotate to the right constantly. The way to counteract that would be to like have a servo motor that just constantly rotates in the opposite direction, but there's no way to set an engine. I don't think there's a way to set an engine to toggle. So like toggleable setting, right? So like I press B on my keyboard and it toggles the engine on, right? That way it just stays on. I don't think there's any way to do that. As for the pistons, we're not messing with the pistons. Now, I've seen a couple piston builds which are amazing, but I am not going to spend time on that. It is a decision. I'm almost certain, given where the center of mass is on this vehicle, that if we move these back more, we will get more maneuverability. The thing is, this is already a 9, and I don't want to have to extend this out again. Ideally, we wouldn't have to extend that out again. Now, we could do something like this. Add that extra wing without adding too many extra pieces. But as far as the build goes now I'm just concerned about, oh, there we go. Okay. Rotation is still a little slow. Pull up. Yeah, nah. Maybe if we add wings to the front. If I make this a 3... and I put a... I could just put a 5 beam. 5 beam. Wing on this side and this side. That might make it a little bit. What happens if I make the shark fins Clear. Oh, they become completely clear. Very interesting. You can't paint everything in the game, but you can paint the shark fins. Yes, that helps a lot. That does indeed help. This feels pretty clean. There's that nose down, and I guess I could put weights on the back. Maybe if I do something like this. Again, I don't think mass is so much of an issue when it comes to propeller designs. Because there's no... It is an issue. It definitely is an issue. Now we have less nose down, but we still have nose down. $350 kilometers an hour is pretty respectable. That slight rotation to the right, I don't think we're going to be able to get rid of. It's a trade-off with the way the game handles yeah, I know what we can do with that front wing. So this is confirmed, making it more maneuverable. But I think we're going to make it look a little bit cleaner. By doing something like this out to the sides. I really want to call this thing the flying fish. Yeah, that definitely feels better. But I think it's just going to be Dragonfly Mark 2 at this point. The nose down is still... It's still there. But the level of maneuverability is... not bad. Problem is that stability we had before... No, it's still there. If we stop rotating the fan blades, it doesn't start like freaking out, you know? That's what we're trying to avoid. Boop. Now, I'm wondering... Having these stick out to the sides... Now, I wonder, can I put a 200 kilogram? As far as, like, the rotation goes... It's a little slow. The rotation is a little bit slow. Oh, now I don't have any control? Wait, what? Oh, I do have control. It's just that that weight is making it insanely difficult to maneuver. So, as far as the center of mass goes, that absolutely has an effect. But yeah, our rotation is limited. Maybe we can have it go through a... No, that's the thing. We can't have it go through a planetary gear into a hinge connector. That's the whole bug, right? And the way we avoided that last time was we used the gear ratios, the small and medium gears. But yeah, it is confirmed at this point that you can create an alternating propeller airplane. And we just adapted this from the Whiplash and brought it back to the Dragonfly. So we took the concept of the Dragonfly and we then extended it to the Whiplash, but clearly more Dragonfly than Whiplash. The shared design from the Whiplash is the alternating propeller. The shared design from the Dragonfly is the concept of having the shark fins in the front and the back in a line for mobility. Redstone, welcome back. Is this a new update? The update happened a couple of days ago. But yes, the game was updated not too long ago. Yeah, it does act strange at high speeds. If you... the rotation is the difficult part. Now I'm wondering if these are truly static, then could we have some form of rotation in the back as well? You just updated car bricks? Nice. I hope the development is going well for you. This is an interesting situation. So as far as rotation goes, if we look at the Dragonfly, we have it going through a planetary gear into a gear medium, into a gear small, and then into the weight, which avoids the problems with and like you can see the rotation here is pretty good. The mobility of the Dragonfly, there's a reason why like this I made a staple aircraft as far as my my designs go. Like, highly recommend checking this out on the workshop. By far the best aircraft I've built. Airplane style. The best quadcopter. I built several aircraft at this point. The best quadcopter is no doubt the Mayfly Mark II. Completely different style of flying, but similar. Yeah, this is spacebar. Similar stability and mobility. And that rotation, see, has two weights around the center. How are you, my good sir? I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well. How are you? How is aerodynamics calculated in this game? I do not know. All I know is that it's static. There's no variation in air pressure in this game. So it's got to be some calculation of velocity and angle based on the direction of the wings. Now the problem is, well, is that a problem? No, that's not a problem. All we would need to do oh, we know why it's causing a rotation. It's because it's not mirrored. Yeah, there's one side of it that's always sticking out. So if we want to mirror it, we're gonna have to do this. And to do that, no. Here's what we're gonna really need to do. I'm gonna need one on this side, one on that side. That's, I think, what we're gonna need to do. But yeah, any type of aerodynamic system in any game is going to be calculated using some type of motion. And given the motion, it interacts with the hypothetical digital air. And then the motion translates into force, right? See, because we always need a mechanic, a axle into a hinge connector, into a whip. Now, here's the thing. We want another one. We don't have space. I think there is a way. We need this to be moved one more up. Yeah, all of that. I read what you wrote, Redston, but as far as like doing a hard vector calculations and stuff, like I'm good. But yes, you're gonna need to use vectors that calculate direction. You're gonna need to use a unit vector which calculates the direction of the motion and then creates force in the opposite direction, which is drag. That's effectively drag. And then you could even add some type of variable to the air resistance to stop people from making designs like this. But then that would lead to very heavy calculations, right? If you're changing the amount of air resistance. Yeah, I think we can do this instead. We can just move that up. All right, maybe that'll make our rotation a little better. I don't know. They're counteracting each other, so I just need to flip one of them to be DNA. That's it. Now, whether they're backwards or not, then we could just flip both of them again. Nope, there we go. Yeah, we have better rotation now. Okay. And that rotation to the right is lessened at this point. The only problem is now we have worse maneuverability. The better maneuverability is going to come from extending this out one more. These are all 100%, so we're not losing any efficiency on them. Writing devlog sucks. Yeah. Detailing like... Okay, we're upside down. Detailing changes and documentation and stuff is, it's a whole thing. Yeah. Weird, it's like jiggling a little bit. I don't know. Slight nose down and then slight rotation to the right. I don't think we can actually... Yeah, so as far as these go, I could probably just extend these out again. The fact of the matter is, we're gonna need some type of setup. I think this is always gonna be asymmetrical. Like, unless, because, well... Unless we somehow create... No. We would need a separate motor. We can't leech off of this because these are the powertrain. Like I said, well, this gave us better rotation. We definitely got better rotation here. Yeah, this is either going to be like this, or it's going to be like... this. There's no... I don't think there's any other way to... Yeah. So that definitely... Okay, that definitely increased our maneuverability. The trick is that you don't want it to overturn to the point where if I crank it back, then we like lose all of our velocity and then crash into the ground. That's not what you want. Now, if I add 2 weights, let's say here and here. Oh, look at that. Now it's turning into a UFO. We still get the nose down though. That's like something baked into the game. That's definitely something baked into the game. No doubt. And then the slight rotation to the right. I want to check one thing. Well, it's going to be hard. Duplicate. Edit this. If I just get rid of all of this, I want to see if it still banks to the right. Because this is perfectly symmetrical at this point. Right? It's a perfect mirrored symmetry. And if this still banks to the right, then it's just the planetary gears, and there's nothing we can do about it. Yep. See how it's still rotating slightly to the right? I'm not touching anything. It's something to do with just the planetary gears. And I guarantee you... if I just take this off and I put a axis connector in place of it, we're not going to get that rotation because there's less torque on the engines. Actually, no, we still do get that. We still get the nose down. We still get the rotation to the right. I don't know. I don't know. Very interesting. Our rotation is okay now. So we determined that it is not the asymmetry of the double engine in the center. As far as this goes, it makes me wonder, could I just... I don't think it's... See, I don't think it's the engine. The reason why I did that is to even it out on either side. I don't think it's the asymmetry of the... Again, we just determined that. It's not the asymmetry of this sticking out on one side. It's the torque of the engines. But even then, it's not really the torque of the engines because we just got rid of this extra planetary gear and it's still rotated slightly to the right. So I don't know if I messed up a wing or if I put something out of order. It's difficult to tell. I will be right back. All right, I'm back. Yeah, I suspect. So here's the thing, like with the Dragonfly, yes, we switched it to our controller. This flies very smoothly with a slight nose down. As to how to get rid of the slight nose down, I don't know. I honestly don't know. You would have to put, like, if I put this weight even farther back, maybe. Yeah, there you go. There it is. So, confirmed, shifting the, this thing is perfectly stable in the air. Like, I'm not touching anything. There was a slight nose down before, but... ...267 kilometers an hour, perfectly stable. That's beautiful. You can tell it's got a very, very, very slight rotation to the right. Very, very slight. But otherwise, it's completely stable. Now, that is what I'm trying to get with the next iteration. I should actually re-upload this. Yeah, let me update that. I just moved the weight back and it made it even more... Controller should work properly. Base control, there you go. Sorry, I was about to say welcome back, but I pressed control or something and closed the tab. Oh, rip. That's all good. I saw your welcome back. You're good. I appreciate it. That's what I kind of tried to achieve. Maybe if I get rid of that. I just don't understand why the roll... No, I do. The roll on this thing is bad because we're relying on one motor directly into the hinge connector. And if I was to squeeze a planetary gear in here, the hinge connector would not rotate. We would need to add a beam as well, or a connector double or something. So getting the rotational gyroscope, if that's what you want to call it, to rotate faster than this is it's gonna be a difficult situation to resolve, honestly. Adding that second weight definitely helps with the rotation. But yeah, you can see that rotation to the right. Now you can counter rotate it easily. I'd say if all things are considered, a slight rotation to the right is not is not the worst, but I would ideally not have that happen. As to why it's happening, we already determined that it's not the asymmetry of the motor. See, like, if we could just have it counter rotate slightly the entire time, we would counterbalance it, you know? There's no way to trim that, though. Like, in an airplane, so in airplanes, you can trim they call it trim. You trim the angle of the flaps. And you trim the angle of the flaps so that you don't need to constantly fight the slight rotation. Whether it's rotation or pitch up or pitch down, based on weight distribution and other things. Gotta go for a bit. Thanks for hanging out, Redson. Hope to see you in the future. I'd say this at this point is pretty much as far as I can get it. Like, we successfully, it's highly maneuverable. We successfully got it to a point where we upgraded the Dragonfly Mark 1, right? The only downside is the rotation to the right. And I don't think there's a way to trim it out. There's no way to trim it out, and we tried to figure out what was causing it. Pretty sure it's just the nature of the fan blades at this point. Like, having the two fan blades spinning so close to one another doesn't give it like enough stability, right? And no doubt we could trim it out. We could like set the rotational motor to constantly spin to counteract it. But there's no way to do that. So I think we just accept it. Oh, we just got top 10 on that speed trap. Ha ha ha. I didn't even intentionally do that. Compared to the first aircraft I built, which was the it was like a modification of the Bluey helicopter. The Bluey helicopter is like one of the most subscribed things on the workshop for this game. What was it called again? The Omega Falcon? What did I call it? Yes, the Omega. This was the first airplane I made. And it's a modification. It doesn't use... It actually uses flaps for roll. Like, you can see it when I press... we use servo motors to get the roll, which is actually really cool. But as for the pitch up and the pitch down, that's completely due to the magical force in the game that you're granted when your vehicle is in the air. But the powertrain, the actual rotors, are modified. This whole setup is from the Bluey helicopter on the workshop. And what this does is allows two blades, two fans, to spin in opposite directions while being in a line. Because it translates the force of this through here. Which, honestly, now that I'm looking at it, this is actually using the hinge connector bug. I'm pretty sure this is using the hinge connector bug. Because, Neri, welcome back. This is using the hinge connector bug because this is the thing that's rotating, right? This whole thing is the thing that's rotating. This is what the fan blades are connected to. But if we look carefully, yeah, this whole thing is rotating. If we look carefully, there's nothing, there's no hinge connector. It's just the axis that's running through it. And then this one on top is just connected by this single axis. This is being translated into this. This is not connected here. And then this goes into the hinge connector. No, but that's so odd to me because this still doesn't make sense to me. Because how is this rotating then if there's no hinge connector? There's no pin that's connected to this at all. Yeah, that's crazy that this actually works. The more I think about this, knowing what I know, the fact that this is the powertrain, this is where the power comes in. It rotates this entire thing, and then it proceeds to rotate this in the opposite direction. The center one in the opposite direction. That's what's crazy about that. I do want to check out some workshop stuff. And I don't know why I unsubscribed from the Bluey 7 helicopter. That was a mistake. But yeah, if you look very, very carefully, oh, maybe no, you can't use, so the motor is spacebar, I think. Hold on, we need to modify this thing. Where did it go? Wow. I just added it to garage, but it didn't. It just didn't add it. What? Yeah, that worked. There's the Carbon 1B Dragster. That worked. So if I click this, add to garage. Uh, I, I don't know where it is. Maybe if I exit and then come back in. Nope. Regardless, what I can do is, oh, wait, it bugged. Hold on. This says Bluey 7, but it looks like the Omega Falcon. What? Look at this. This is a weird bug. This looks like the Omega Falcon. Why would it do that? Regardless, the Omega Falcon is on the workshop. So yeah. All I'm trying to do is make this W and S. And I think if that's W and S, everything else should fall into place. Yeah. So I don't think there's any rotation either. Like, I can't rotate left and right. I can kind of like angle myself. The tail rotor, the tail has a line of shark fins. But if we take a look, this is what I'm trying to look at. The bottom rotor is rotating clockwise. The top rotor is rotating counterclockwise. If you look at it from the top, right? But what's so crazy to me about this design is that it's using a bug right now to actually work. And why do I keep saying that? Because the only thing that is connecting this whole rotor, the bottom rotor, this entire whole bottom rotor, the only thing that it's connected to is this, right? And then it translates to the top one at a medium to a small ratio. And then this is what translates into the top, which does actually use a hinge connector too. That's so crazy. So this is rotating around an axis. And as far as the beams and axis go in the game, that's not how they're supposed to work. Right? Yeah, this axis and this axis are not connected. That's the whole point. The whole point is that they rotate in opposite directions. But yeah, that is very, very interesting. Now that I understand the hinge connector bug in the game, this makes way more sense. When I first looked at this, I was like, how is this rotating in opposite directions? And it's because they're getting a beam to rotate around an axis. That is why. Which is not how the developers, I believe, intended for that to work at all. Given the fact that if you look at the beam in the game, or the hinge connector, all parts which are then attached to this part will turn or spin. Yes. Yeah, that is this is a very big bug in the game. They need to figure this out. The fact that you can use these to get beams to rotate around axis is like, yeah. Regardless, I think, I don't know. I think we tried to make this good, and we found that we just can't get it to stop rotating to the right. I think that's pretty much the result. Could I put it on the workshop? Maybe, but it doesn't feel good enough, you know? Like, as far as making a Mark II goes, I can't get it to stop rotating to the right. Like, it just doesn't. I have to constantly rotate to the left to counter it, and that's not acceptable. It is unacceptable. But the Dragonfly Mark I doesn't do that. Dragonfly Mark I functions very, very stably. And this one is on the workshop. You could fly this thing without touching anything for a very, very long time. But yes, this does not use the hinge connector bug in the game. This uses the hinge connector as intended. And the design doesn't require... The design does not require a workaround to the hinge connector. And between the Dragonfly Mark I and the Mayfly Mark II, these are the best aircraft that I've built in the game. I think the Whiplash, though. So, as far as the Whiplash goes, we could modify this thing to, I really want to use this with the controller. W space left control S. I know not everyone uses a controller, so I made all my designs such that you can use them with a keyboard, so that you can use spacebar and control. But in order to use a controller, you need to remap to W, S, A, and D, which if you then go and try and use a controller, or if you then go and try and use a keyboard, it rotates forward whenever you press W. But it remaps to the controller as right trigger, which is then completely separate from the forward tilt. So remapping is not as simple as it should be. The rotation is backwards again. Actually, no, it's not. The orange is It's either, which way is forward? This is forward. Yes, so this is backwards. This was correct the first time. The pull faces forwards. Yes, that is left, right, left, right. Yeah, that is what we want. And then left and right while moving forward. Using this with a controller feels a lot better. You don't feel like you need to constantly like tap A and D to get like fine adjustment. It still does take a lot of getting used to though. But yes, this is another, what I'm flying right now is another example of one of the best things I built in the game thus far. I do say thus far with the hope that I build something as good as this. But we did determine with quadcopters, I think it was like 2 streams ago, about a week ago, that if you want a quadcopter or a helicopter style flight design to go over 250 kilometers an hour, unfortunately what you kind of run into is this like flattening out constantly. And realistically, I think that's what you would kind of run into in reality. If you get a quadcopter going really, really fast, it's going to want to flatten out. So as far as that goes in the game, I've never complained about that being like unrealistic or doesn't feel good. The reality is that with a helicopter or quadcopter design, you're just kind of limited by the fact that you have your thrust above you, you know? You're constantly angling in order to gain thrust. And what happens is when you're going really fast, it wants to flatten out because this is the most aerodynamic. Being flat allows you to fly through the air with less air resistance, which is then why you would want to design an airplane design in order to go much faster, where you have your thrust pointing in the direction of motion. And although we tried this design, I think I'll put it on the workshop. I'll put it on the workshop as the Mayfly Mark II, but because it is more maneuverable, it's faster. The downside is the rotation, the slight rotation to the right. It's still pretty fun to fly though, and it's very powerful. Very powerful, very maneuverable. So I will keep this as the Mark II. And anyone can modify this thing as well. As for this alternating propeller design being stable, for a ground vehicle, that slight rotation, you're not going to experience because you're grounded. You're grounded and you're much heavier. So you're just not gonna feel that slight rotation. And this thing is stable. Like we're clean with this thing. The whiplash is also on the workshop. And if anyone watching has anything they want me to check out, I've checked out viewers' designs in the past. I'm always happy to see what other people are building. I pretty much like, I tried to get away from the propellers. I genuinely did. But they're just fascinating. Like, I love the alternating propeller design because you just can't have something like this in real life. The performance you get from it is amazing. I should modify this. The downforce is what's limiting. I really wonder, the 3, 2, maybe if I make this a connector double, and I can duplicate this. Add another wing right in the center. Beautiful. Now the question is, what color do we make it? Black or orange? Trekovic, welcome. Have you seen the Dexter W2 on the workshop? I have not. I can check it out if you want. Go with the dark purple. Black, orange, and purple. That's gonna trigger some people's OCD. No, it has to be perfectly mirrored. You can't have anything in the center. Only black or orange. Nope, we got a little bit of purple in there. We got a little bit of purple in there. My brain isn't braining. Interesting. That is a very interesting way to put that, and I do appreciate interesting ways to put things. You're new to propellers. That is completely fair and valid. Brown is in between black and orange, just saying. Indeed, like very dark brown, yeah. A very dark orange kind of looks brown. When I press W to make propellers thrust forwards and to thrust backwards, S is still thrusting me forwards. Okay, that is a very interesting case, and I would honestly need to be able to experience it in order to find a solution. As far as me figuring out which direction propellers are rotating and which direction the wings need to be facing, I pretty much I just do trial and error. Like, it's just trial and error because there's no green or red side. I don't know if these are flipped. I don't know which side is which on the electric engines. So you just try and trial and error. If it's backwards, you go S and W's. If it's the way you want it to be, then you leave it alone. Is there any benefit to having a transmission on propeller cars? No. Just flat out, there is no benefit. Because there is no inertia, right? Inertial force implies that there is some resistance when it comes to starting these up. Like, if you've ever seen a old school World War II fighter plane, like a P-51 or something, or a Spitfire, if you've ever seen them start the engine up, the propeller starts really slow, and then you hear the engine start to crank up, and then it gets faster and faster. That's because the propeller itself has a mass that needs to be accelerated, which gives it an inertial force. There's no inertia. So you can start these things from 0 to 100% instantaneously. The only reason you need gears, the only reason I have the planetary gears is to get our RPM as high as possible, as fast as possible. Instantaneously. So, like, when you see this start up, there's no speed up, right? It's just instant. Instant. there's no inertia. It's not a natural thing in the game. And that's why you can create such like crazy unconventional designs. And not to mention reversing them. I'm going forward, instantly reversing, forward, instantly reversing. You would break the wings off. The amount of force that would be caused by changing the direction of a fan blade instantaneously would make the entire shaft just break instantly. You would have to use so much force. So it's best to just assume that the wing blades, the downforce wings, are massless, right? Just imagine them having no mass. It's kind of difficult because everything has mass in real life, but that's kind of how I think about it. This thing is very fun to drive. I think that extra wing actually helps. It does. That definitely helps our traction. Absolutely helps our traction. And not only our traction, but also our braking too. I'll patch this design with the single purple in the center and the front and the back. And yeah, but I mean, as far as how many hours do I have in this game at this point? I think we're at 90. Let me check. We just broke 90 hours in screwdrivers. We are on our way to 100 hours of screwdrivers. As far as my interest goes in this game, you're gonna be seeing me do mostly propeller stuff, because as far as like conventional designs like the flat top go, until the developers allow us to turn off traction control, like we're just not gonna we're not gonna deal with this. Like, I constantly feel like my throttle is being limited. Yeah. And once you kind of feel it and you know what I'm talking about, it's just one of those things you can't unfeel. All they need to do is let us turn off traction control. That's it. You feel it. I might put, well, we tried to put lighter wheels on this thing. The, I think if we put anything other than dirt wheel big, it starts to clip into the ground, which is very interesting. What's the longest playtime you have in any game? Counter-Strike Source. Also, welcome, Majestic. Oh, maybe this is actually not bad. Yeah, this might not be bad, actually. Counter-Strike Source was a game I played a lot when I was younger. And as far as my opinion goes, when it comes to FPS games, Counter-Strike Source is the best FPS game of all time. Just end of story. People still play that game even today. And yeah, there's Counter-Strike 2. I know, Counter-Strike Go and whatever. Counter-Strike Source is still, for the time, was like a masterpiece as far as FPS games go. They nailed that formula down so hard, and it was before they came out with all of like the cases, so like people could modify their skins and designs and stuff. Yeah, see, when you're on dirt with the race wheels, the street wheels, you just don't get any lateral traction at all. My dad has 1.4K hours on Worms. Nice. Worms is also a very, it's a classic, timeless classic. I remember playing Worms Armageddon a lot. But yeah, a lot of my hours, I'm just talking about raw hours. So a lot of my hours in Counter-Strike Source were leaving the game on while I was away, if I'm being completely honest. Yeah, Team Fortress 2, Oxygen not included, Warframe. I would have to like rank the... There are a lot of games where I have about like 200 hours. Like after I get to like 200 hours, Factorio, I have 270. But yeah, Counter-Strike Source, I have just over 1,000 hours. But I would say like at least 30% of that was just leaving the game open and forgetting that I had it open. But we are coming up on 100 hours in Screwdrivers. What's your Steam level? My Steam level... 32. Yeah, my Steam level is not that high. Can you try it the Dexter? Yes, I can. Thank you for reminding me. I appreciate that. The Dexter W2. Ooh, very interesting. You've got a 3, that's the craziest gear shifter I've ever seen. You've got a gear shift 3 on the top of it. Yeah, let's hop in. Let's see. Oh my, this thing is... Oh, I'm worried it's gonna fall over. Nice. A little wiggly. I like that you have the piece on the back. The laser cut, I think it's called, right? Very good gear ratios. Now, it's a little top heavy. Wait, hold on. Is there a missing engine on one side? Oh, it's symmetrical. Oh, that's crazy. That's so interesting. You have three on one side, 3 on the other side. Oh, it's top heavy. Oh, we're getting the down. Look at that downforce. Did you see that downforce? How we just started getting pushed to the left when we flipped? That was crazy. Yeah, you have 3 PW blazes here and then 3 over here. That's so interesting. Yeah, this is the craziest gear shift That's like the most stuff I've ever seen on a Gearshift 3. Very interesting. Wait, how? Hold on. So you're translating this one into this one through the top slot, right? That's so this doesn't cause clipping? This laser cut right here doesn't cause clipping. Right? This is the laser cut 3x5. No, this is just the laser cut 3. No, this is the 3x5. Yeah. There's the 3x5 and then the triangle 3x5. And then you have the laser cut 3x5 triangle on the back. Very interesting. You have this translating through here, which goes into this, which then translates down into this, which this has two states, this and this. But this, interestingly, this planetary gear doesn't clip into the... I mean, it clearly clips into it, but it doesn't... The design... it doesn't give you problems in terms of saying that something is being clipped into. Very interesting. Yeah, I like how you have this whole thing mirrored. It's a mirror, right? So like you have these three and this the turbo vault, the 3 PW blazes and the turbo vault mirrored, right? Here's the one capacitor, here's another. And then you have the gear shifting stuff in between them. It's very interesting. And I still have not really messed with getting power translation through the sides of the gear shifters in any of my designs yet. But that definitely makes it more viable to have them vertical instead of horizontally for something like this, where you can have a planetary going right into it. But I'm wondering, as far as this goes, no, see, this is where the power is coming up into. The power is down here. It's coming into this, and then it's being translated into this here. That's what's interesting. And then you have the planetaries in a row on here. See, my designs, like a lot of the flat top, what I do is I keep the gear shifter, the stuff on the gear shifter with like just 2 small gears or maybe a medium. But you could do it in the opposite direction as well. That's the interesting part. The problem is moving, when you translate these, moving them, I've found it's ideal to use the gear small on the shifters themselves, and then the thing that's having the force translated into it has the gear mediums with the planetary gears. Because the gear mediums are the same size as the planetary gear. So as far as optimizing space goes, similarly on this one, like you have the planetary gears in alignment with the gear medium, which makes a lot of sense. Interesting. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I've seen some pretty crazy designs on the someone added a flying fortress, and we're gonna check it out. Catburger 23. It is currently the top most popular 1 week build. And they went as far as to make it look like a World War II British bomber, like a Lancaster. Like they made it green and brown, which is pretty crazy. I don't know what the controls are going to be. We're going to have to figure it out. I don't know if it has landing gear or anything. Okay, it does. It's spacebar. Okay, there's W. Okay, we got into the air. Oh, okay. They're using reaction wheels effectively. It's pretty stable. I love how they use the axis. Hold on. If I go into the water, it might be a little bit easier to take off. Wait, that's landing gear? How do I rotate? Oh, you can rotate the center. Look, you can rotate the center gun. They use the axis for the guns. As far as the landing gear goes, yeah, I can't turn, unfortunately. I think we're gonna need to take it. We're gonna need to start in an area that has a really long. I might just take it to the supersonic. Yeah, let's just take it to the supersonic. I can't turn it, unfortunately. Oh, kinda can. Okay. Oh, it's got the confetti cannons? That's funny. Hold on. If I try to turn it... Okay, there we go. It, like, makes the wheels angle downward, which is so interesting. Pull up! Pull up! Which somehow provides turning. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, we raised the landing gear. Pull up! Pull up! This thing is crazy, though. Yeah, this looks like a Lancaster bomber. The Lancaster, I think, was like one of the most common bombers built by the British in World War II. The Flying Fortress was a an American plane. It's like the B-17 or something. So if they called it the Flying Fortress, I imagine that's what they were going for, right? The Flying Fortress Mark III. Let me look that up. Flying Fortress. That's the Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress. Yeah. But the Lancaster bomber, the Avro Lancaster, was a heavy bomber built by the British. And this thing definitely reminds me of the Lancaster. Uh, Here, let me see if I can get it on stream quickly. Yeah, this should be good. This bomber is what I'm thinking of. Especially the brown and green. I think these are the same engines they used on the Spitfire. I'm not entirely sure. The Rolls-Royce Merlins. Yeah. Designed by Roy Chadwick. The Flying Fortress is an American bomber, which has a like crosswise tail, horizontal and vertical. The Lancaster had these like side fins, and that's what this design has. Very interesting. And that is made by Catburger 23. And yes, you can do flaps, elevator, turrets. There's access stairs. I don't think I have enough. Yeah, we'd have to go into creative mode for that, which I'm not gonna inspect that too closely. Someone made a semi-truck with flying heli, made by Catburger 23. Wait, how does this work? Uncouple trailer. Heli controls numpad. This person has gone insane with this. This is just called main. What? Trust, welcome back. There's a functional helicopter on the back of this thing. They said Q and E for detaching. So you could just detach the trailer. Now, how do I switch vehicles? That's the question. Like, we're in the truck still. We detached the trailer. Oh, that's so crazy. They used the weight as the connector. I might have to look at this in creative mode, because that's actually insane. What does it say on the workshop? Release helicopters F. Q to uncouple couple. And E to extend the landing gear. So F to release the helicopter. I'm like reading the manual for this thing. That's crazy. All right. E to lower the tracks. Q to release it. Okay, hold on. There we go. Okay. E to lift the legs. And then F to release. And then numpad? Hold on, what does it say? Thrust 0 and 1 on the numpad? Oh, what? You can open the... No way! They made it so you can open and close the doors? I have to look at this thing. I have to look at this thing in the creative mode. Because they're using pistons. Yeah, this is Catburger 23 on Steam. Oh, it's a stepper motor. Key Alpha 5. Yes. We know what that is. And then there's another one in here. Yeah, see this right here? This is a piston though. And that rotates the hood of the car. That's crazy. They even put the grill with the axis. Ha! I still don't know how to switch to the helicopter. Yeah, this is a Eigen core engine that's tucked away underneath there. And yes, as far as this is rotating, this beam right here goes, this is rotating around an axis. And then they translate it sideways up into the gear medium, right? And then that gets translated into this axis, which is not connected to this one. So then this rotates, this hinge connector rotates this beam. But what's weird about this design, and I'm going to point it out very, very clearly, is that this beam down here is rotating around this axis. This beam right here is rotating around this hinge connector too. There's no other pin in this beam. So it's definitely interesting because as far as I can tell, every single helicopter dual rotor setup like this is gonna, it basically has to use that workaround, I'm pretty sure. And you could definitely put a hinge connector here as well. It's not like, yeah. You could put a hinge connector here and then just connect these to this beam and have that go through there. It wouldn't, it's just weird that the beam is rotating around the axis. Now, I still don't know how to, yeah, that's the rotation. I still don't know how to switch vehicles. So it says that there's a way. Turn on the numpad air control. Launch the heli with numpad 0. So turn on numpad air control. Numpad air control. All right, we know E. What does Q do? Hold on. Oh, okay. That unlatches the connector. All right, so how do I turn on numpad control? Air control on numpad. Apply. And then I can release the helicopter with F. Wait, is that? That's released now. And then we do... I don't know. I'm pressing all my numpad keys. It's still not activating. I don't think there's a way to... Yeah, unfortunately, the camera stays with the truck. I still don't know how to get it to... You can release the heli from the trailer with F. Turn on the numpad air control. Launch the heli with numpad 0. Yeah, it's not activating. Let me check in my... in the garage. As far as that goes, it should be this engine. Keypad 0. Oh, it's because I had numlock on. Okay. We had numlock on our keyboard. And no, I'm not going to say that's poo brain because how often do you use your numpad on your keyboard? Like, I think a lot of people don't even have a freaking numpad. Yeah, there we go. There we go. But the camera, they say the camera doesn't follow the helicopter. But it does indeed work. It does indeed work. Very, very good job. Hatburger 23. This is on the workshop. This is indeed on the workshop. I like stuff that I'm like not, because this is getting pretty cluttered. I think I'm just gonna declutter this so I don't have to like scroll down so far every time. Like if I want to use something, I can use it, duplicate it, check it out, delete it, and then go just have it as a Steam workshop down here. But it's like a duplicate. You know, we had the dragster here, we had it up here as well, so indeed. But yes, that semi-truck with flying heli by Catburger 23. That is one of the top trending vehicles for the week right now. Somebody made air drag car VH, made by VH on the workshop. Air drag car. Very interested. Nice. Ooh, very nice. Interesting that it has a... Oh, they went around the blade, see? Then why didn't they have to do that with the rear one? It's pretty stable though. 595, 596. 597, 598, 599, 600. Nice. As far as the front propeller goes, I'm interested. So I think they built this around here to avoid this clipping, but what's confusing is why didn't they have to do that here? What's confusing me is like, why didn't they just do... Why didn't they just do this? Oh, wait, hold on. Weird. So it... Oh, no, we're good. We're good. Okay, I was thinking that's why they didn't do that, but... We're fine. All right, let's see if that works. Yeah, I mean, yeah. A little bit unstable, and maybe it's clipping a little bit more. But yeah, it just kind of bothered me that it was... it was like going around one side to avoid it. Yeah, air drag car by VH. One of the top trending things right now on the weekly most popular. Last stream, you inspired me to make a small car, so here it is, Majestic's Buggy. Okay, I'll check it out. Nice, nice. Majestic's Buggy by Majestic Dwarf. Oh, weird. It jumped straight to third? Insane. Got decent turning. Nice. I see that you have the two gear shifters on top of the PW Blazes. Nice. Let me look at it for a second. Yeah, the double shifter, it jumps to third though, which is interesting. Also, how you have the beam to here, but then you have the 45 here in order to access that is a very interesting workaround, and I completely understand why you did it that way. Yeah. Interesting. But yeah, it jumps to, I don't know why, but it seems to jump to third. Like on the low end? Or no, it goes through second. Never mind. It rests in third pretty well. I think the 4 PW Blaze setup is pretty clean. See my mini drone. Have you? Oh yes, I still have your mini drone from last time. Welcome back, Truss. Yes, your mini drone we did test. You have a new version of it? This thing is nice. The fact that you used reaction wheels but yes, we did determine that at higher speeds it's tough. Definitely tough. If you have a new version, I will check it out. If it's just called Mini Drone. Mini Drone V3. We will try Mini Drone V3 1.2 made by Truss. Ah. It's definitely more stable because of the carbon wings. Yeah. Nice. More stable, lower top speed. That's a and it's powerful. Like it's got the torque on the low end. Like if you want to change direction, it's got a good amount of low end acceleration. Nice. Yeah, it's very stable at like 130, which I like a lot. Like you don't need to go super fast in a quadcopter. Like what you're looking for is like stability and maneuverability. Yeah, feels good. Definitely feels better than the last one. Making it faster is your next goal. It's gonna be tough. Oh, can we get through? Oh no, I messed up. It's gonna be tough. Like I said. So I see that you went with the carbon wings around the edges, and I think the constant downforce equal on every side keeps it more stable. It also limits the top speed, but as far as my opinion goes, that's a fair trade-off, because as far as top speed goes, if you go any faster than like 150, 200 kilometers an hour in game, you start to run into like weird air resistance and stuff like that. The Dragonfly Mark II is what we were working on earlier. And I have pretty firmly come to the conclusion that if you want to make something that goes faster than like 300 kilometers stable through the air, it's best to use a airplane design, right? Where, so to say it as clearly as possible instead of airplane design, where your thrust is in the direction of your motion, right? Whereas with like a quadcopter or a helicopter, your thrust is above you and you tilt your entire vehicle forward down to be able to move forward. Your thrust is above you. And you can get a very, very stable design, which can go over 300 kilometers an hour. And very highly maneuverable, using this kind of design. And it's quite powerful. Like we can really crank it, you know? But it has a slight rotation to the right. And if you could figure out how to stop this slightly rotating to the right, you would have something extremely beautiful. There's the one flaw with this design, and I cannot figure out why it slightly rotates to the right. There's no mechanism in the game to like trim it either. And you can see, like, I'm going under that bridge. Like, I have very good control of this thing. it feels pretty good. This is the Dragonfly Mark II. Now, it barely deserves the title Mark II. But because we're using the alternating propeller design, I made it more maneuverable and more powerful. I think it deserves it at the cost of the slight rotation to the right, right? We go under the bridge? Under the bridge, under the bridge. Ha 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 ha. I also want to build a World War II plane. Yeah, we just showed that flying fortress, which looks a lot like the Lancaster. It was a British bomber. Less like a B-17 and more like a Lancaster. Wasn't coming in the right angle for that. Oh, losing it. I don't think the rotation needs to be much better than this. Like, I think the rotation on this is where it needs to be. And we can hold it in a stable bank, right? That's what's important. That's at the end of the day truly what is important. But the stepper motors, the servo motors, and the pistons in this game are, the stuff you can do with them is pretty crazy. But I personally like keeping my designs as simple as possible. But I do appreciate the aesthetic designs, like the cosmetic designs, for sure. In order to achieve any type of design like that, you really need to, invest in like making a cosmetic build. So I definitely appreciate the cosmetic builds. I always stay so close to the ground. I like that the minimap arrow shows in which direction you're pointing in 3D. Yeah, it is a pretty cool feature. I thought about a small fast fighter like the BF-109. That would be cool. It's definitely possible, but there's a certain scale that you need to accept in order to get that aesthetic, cosmetic look and feel. And if you build a BF-109, in order to really get it looking like a BF-109, you need to make it pretty big. Which is fine. It's just important to recognize that there's that limit of scale. Oh no! The 335. What's the 335? Oh, the DO335. Are you talking about the Junkers? No, that's the Dornier. I know the Junkers, no, the Junkers JU88 also only no. The JU88 did have a double prop. Yeah, I'm thinking about the JU88. The JU88, let me see if I can get it. Get the wiki, the trusty Wikipedia page on screen. Yeah, the JU88 was a very common German Nazi multi-role combat aircraft. These were very common during World War II. It was one of the second most produced bomber of all time. Yeah. And it did have a double prop. Yeah, it had a double prop. The BF-109, the Messerschmitt BF-109 had a single prop. I think the so there was the P-51. The P-51 Mustang, which they actually made a variation of. I don't know if they bring it up here. Where they just put like two P-51s in alignment. I can't remember what the other is called at this point. Here, the experimental. Have you tried that Russian vehicle on the workshop? Like 100 electric engines? No, I have not. As far as like trying the monstrosities, maybe. The F-82? Moro, welcome. It's called the, I think you're right about the F-82. Yeah, the twin Mustang. Look at this thing. They just took two Mustangs and they were like, you know what's better than one Mustang? Two Mustangs. Let's just put them together. And it didn't work very well. Like the maneuverability and stuff, they only built like a couple hundred. Yeah, and the P-61, the Black Widow. What was the other attack aircraft? Very well, pretty common. The Lightning. Yeah, the P-38. This is the P-38. Mateo, welcome. What are you doing today? We're looking at World War II aircraft. We're checking out stuff on the workshop. We recently just flew a replica of what looks like a Lancaster bomber, labeled the Flying Fortress on the workshop. We're checking out like daily, weekly popular things that are being created. It's actually made by Lockheed. Interesting. And there were 10,000 of these things. To put that in perspective, yeah, it was akin to the amount of P-51s that were built. And then the BF-109, 34,000. The JU-88, 15,000. So, yeah. The P-38 was like the nail in the coffin, as far as that goes. the American planes in World War II were feats of mechanical engineering, just beautiful creations. And now with the F-35, I mean, that thing is it's gotten pretty crazy. If you look at the progression of aircrafts, North American aircraft in particular, it's pretty beautiful. I think they just released a new flying wing. I can't remember what the name of it is. Stealth bomber. Flying wings are freaking crazy. Because a flying wing, you effectively need a constant force calculating, keeping it stable. Like making calculations to keep it stable. You can't just, I don't think you can just manually fly a flying wing. The Wyvern? Yeah, the Wyvern, was that a British plane? I think that was a British plane, right? And it had 2 propellers in a row, right? Like in alignment on the nose. You would need to, that gets really complicated in terms of how you do that. I look up was that was a nickname for it? Was that the nickname for it? The Westland Wyvern. Yes, this thing. See how it has I think it has a double prop here. See that? British turboprop. Yeah. I don't think they built many of these, right? Yeah, only 127. And it was pretty much like World War II is over by this point. Pretty much. So by the time the British were making this, like, this thing wasn't a main role. It didn't play a major role in World War II. Yeah. But as far as propeller-powered vehicles go, this was like a direct upgrade. I think this thing was like very maneuverable, but it had a short operational history because turbines, like turbine engines, were becoming a thing. So turboprop got overshadowed by turbine engines. That's why you don't see these. You don't see these anymore. Like you see turbine engines. Yeah. That thing uses a turbine engine. It does use a hold on. Contra turboprop. Oh, it is a turbine engine. Yeah. Then what am I? So, what am I thinking of then in terms of turbines? Contra-rotating propellers. It just turns a prop instead of using thrust directly. Okay. See, that's what I'm confused about. I'm like, isn't that what a turbine is, but I guess similar to the turbine powered car, you can use a turbine. No, because a turbine powered car did use air directly. Turboprop is a prop powered by a turbine. Okay. So then what did the Spitfire use? This is a piston engine. I just don't understand. Why would you use a turbine to power propellers when... Yeah, I'm getting too deep into this. That is interesting though. Some tanks are also powered by turbines. Yeah, we know that there was one commercial vehicle that was powered by a turbine. The turbine car, the Chrysler turbine car. Abrams and T80 are turbine powered. Interesting. Yeah, these are the thing is like for commercial vehicles, I don't think these are efficient at all, right? Like I don't think we'll ever see a turbine powered uh turbine powered commercial car. You could operate using diesel fuel, unleaded gasoline, kerosene, JP4 jet fuel, and vegetable oil. The fuel consumption is the biggest problem. Yeah, that's why they don't use these in commercial vehicles. But if you want a certain performance, then you can, like, using them in military vehicles is more applicable because you can sacrifice that fuel efficiency for like better performance. There were several trucks turbine powered. Yeah, there are other cars that are turbine powered, but I don't think any manufacturer is like making commercial, like you can't go and buy a turbine powered car right now unless you're like a very enthusiastic and wealthy collector. Like that's what I was trying to get at. Yeah. Yeah, Jay Leno has one. Yeah, it was an interesting experiment, and they work, but they're just inefficient. So that's, yeah, that's that. I like the history of that stuff. I I find that very interesting. Now, I do not claim to understand the inner workings of a turbine engine or a diesel engine. If I studied them for a couple of weeks, I would have a much better understanding. But the bar, like the limit, I set a limit as to how deep I get into that stuff. Uh, which I think is reasonable. Let's see if there's anything else that's interesting on here. Plain lightweight dual prop made by Russ Spawn. I'm interested in seeing other people's plane designs. Probably going to be best at the supersonic map. I don't know how to... Can I pull up? Wait, hold on. It's definitely... Wait, did they say it on the Steam page? Numpad. Okay. Yeah, I have air control on numpad on. I'm pressing my numpad keys. Oh, there we go. 0. 0 worked. Weird. Yeah, I don't know. That's just so weird to me that it wouldn't have any type of motion. WS. Yes, that makes sense. But why can I not... Why can't I, like, pull up? That's what's crazy. I think what I'm doing is making it... The reason I'm able to get airborne is because I just bounced the landing gear. I don't have any other control. Oh, there it was. Okay, all of a sudden, I was able to pitch down. Yeah, so 8 is letting me pitch down. Wait, hold on. Oh, there we go. Okay. We're getting it. Yeah, as far as the numpad control goes, it's like... It's so odd. Interesting. Yeah, this is pretty difficult to control, but they definitely have the right idea in terms of the back wings. Yeah, this is the Lancaster, the Flying Fortress Mark III build that we saw earlier. I like how they use the axis for the turrets. You can actually rotate the turret on that. Someone made Sonic Boom Car. Lenson. Made by Lenson on the workshop. Sonic Boom Car. I love that it's just Sonic Boom Car in all caps. Oh! This is like the Carbon 1B dragster. I'm starting War Thunder to have 3D reference. Nice. Yeah, I have a couple 100 hours in War Thunder. Oh, if you stop rotating, it just flies into the air. What? Oh, what? Did you see that? We went up to like 4,000 kilometers an hour. What just happened? I don't even know what just happened. For like a brief second, we went up to like 4,000 kilometers an hour. Yeah, if I let go, it just flies into the air. What happens if I reverse? Oh! Yeah, so they're using the same setup as the Bluey 7. we just went up to 4600. I saw 4600. What even? What even happened? I'm not even pressing anything and we're still just going extremely fast. That's the fastest speed I've ever seen in the game. We touched 4600 very briefly. That is the Sonic Boom car by Lenson on the workshop. Yeah, I have no idea. Ooh, Catburger made a light-wheeled tank. Catburger 23 on the workshop made this thing. Very interesting. Don't know. Oh, we can actually rotate the turret. Sick. That would be crazy if the developers just like made this into a freaking combat game. I actually streamed Robocraft's like playtest. And it unfortunately, Robocraft 2, it did not go so well. I remember the glory days of Robocraft 1, and unfortunately, the glory days of Robocraft 1 are behind us. But as for Robocraft 2, if I'm being brutally honest, it's not looking too good. This thing is crazy, though. Oh, there's a speed trap there? We should hit the speed trap with the Sonic Boom car and see what we can get on that. Yeah, that's very cool that you can rotate the turret. Good old 2014-15. Yeah, it's pretty much a decade now. The glory and Robocraft was amazing. Like, I remember playing it for the first time. It still exists. You can still play it. But Robocraft is an example of a game where the developers made decisions that resulted in a worse result. Like they worked on like features and restrictions that nobody really wanted. They kind of like made it so you had to meta build a certain way. You could make these like monstrosities early on. I remember making my like first flying vehicles and they were just monstrosities, but they still did pretty well. But the updates of Robocraft over the years have put it in an unfortunate position. That's all I'm going to say about that. As far as like poo-pooing on games goes, I'd try to keep it to a minimum. But Screwdrivers is great. Highly recommend Screwdrivers. I have just over 100 hours in Robocraft. Back when it first back when it was good. Oh, someone else made a propeller dragster. Too much speed to handle. Made by Low Lock Pop. Let's see what this thing is capable of doing. Fix 4S dragster. Is a fan project to revive old Robocraft? Yeah, that would be interesting to see. Ooh, interesting. They have gear ratios. What is happening? We're like going from third to fourth over and over again. What? This is the first propeller powered vehicle that I've seen with different gears. We're airborne. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Show the power graph? This is the power graph here. We're rapidly approaching the moon at 2,000 kilometers an hour, 2,100 kilometers, which is actually, I don't even think enough relative, like, ground speed to get into orbit, honestly. What is, oh, look at our speed! Did you see our speed? We were over 10,000. What is happening? Oh, we hit 100,000. I think we hit 100,000. I think we may have hit 100,000. I don't even know what's happening. The vehicle is off the screen at this point. I think I'm going so fast that we're jumping from one side of the map to the other in like about a second. And that's why the screen is like flickering like that. That is amazing. Can I even slow down? I'm not hitting the accelerator anymore. We're coming back. We're coming back. What is happening? Starting to sound like a song or something. Like very rhythmic. We just transcended into another dimension. That is what we're jumping in and out of portals over and over again. That is the only way to explain what is happening on screen right now. We're just seeing our vehicle phase in and out of existence, coming in from random angles on the screen. It's quite beautiful. I don't think I've seen anything like this before in game. I'm not touching anything, by the way. I'm touching nothing. No input from my keyboard or my controller. It's like we're phasing through the gears. I created a black hole. You've seen much weirder things? Interesting. If anyone knows what the back rooms are, I think we're like phasing into the back rooms. Like our vehicle is like spawning into the back rooms over and over again. All right, that's enough of that. We're good. We're good. That's the first vehicle that I have seen that had the first propeller powered vehicle that has gears. This vehicle the Fix 4S Dragster made by Lowlock Pop. It is on the workshop trending for the most popular 1 week vehicle. But yes, I am going to leave the stream here. I will most likely be coming back to Screwdrivers. I'm actively looking for other games to integrate into my schedule and routine. There are several considerations, but I'm going to be coming back to Screwdrivers once every couple days. and I will continue the first Descendant, and we'll see what other games come out over time. I'm definitely on the lookout to integrate some other new upcoming releases into my schedule. But yes, that is all for now. If you've been enjoying my live streams, please consider liking and subscribing, and I will be on in the future. Thank you.